What it do, guys? My name is Darkitect, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down 5 tips that will help you to reach your first 1,000 Fortnite wins, or any milestone. You could just have started the game and might want to get your first 100 wins. In this video I'm going to be breaking down the tips that you will need to put into use to make it much easier to get those wins. When I'm looking to get 100 wins or 1,000 wins quickly, I'm probably aiming to get, at least 5 wins every single day, and if I can bring that number up to 10, then it does make it so much quicker and it makes the process so much faster. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, and let's get into the 5 tips which I recommend you put into use to reach 1,000 wins. So as proof that these strategies actually do work, last season I was able to get 594 wins. I got like 130 solos, and I got a few hundred duos and 100 squad wins. So let's get right into these tips. So my first tip is to play a lot. Now, to get better at the game, you're gonna have to invest time. I'd recommend around 1 or 2 hours a day as being consistent enough. Only just. If you spend any time less than that, if you don't play daily, then getting really good at the game is not in one of your goals, because that can only be achieved by investing a lot of time in the game. So if you want to just stay an average player, you can still get wins every now and then, but to get around 5 to 10 wins every single day, you'll need to invest time in the game, and you will need to just get in the habit of queuing for a lot of games and playing carefully, because investing time in the game is pretty much the tip that every streamer recommends. I mean, every streamer invests 8 to 10 hours every single day, maybe not every single day, but almost every single day of the year into the game, and it really does prove to make you better, because you just get used to playing it. You get in the habit of doing certain things, like how you build, how you play against a certain type of player, and your reaction skills get so much faster that you react super fast to everything that is happening. So playing consistently and investing so much time in the game is my first tip, just because of how important it comes into, especially if you're going to start playing scrims and competitive Fortnite. You need to get into the habit of playing those kinds of matches, because they are very different from just your regular public match that you might just queue into and look for a bunch of people in a regular solo or something. Public matches are so much different from scrims, because scrims actually have players that are performing at such a better level, and your building needs to be a lot more on point. So now let's get into my second tip. If you're trying to reach 1,000 wins, my second tip for you guys has to be becoming a more aggressive player. So at the start, when you're really new to the game, you may not really push a lot of people or get aggressive, but the more opponents that you learn how to kill, the more strategies that you actually learn, because it teaches you a lot about those kinds of players, what to do when someone builds a lot, what to do when someone doesn't build and they just try to hit shots. Those kinds of play styles will teach you a lot about the game and just how to deal with these certain types of players. So getting into more fights is better, and playing aggressive for those 10+ kill games in regular solos is pretty much one of the best ways that I would recommend to learn more about the game, because it teaches you how to deal with all these kinds of players that you may encounter in scrims or just more pubs, and you get better at the game without even knowing. Just as long as you can make sure that you kill most of these players, then yeah, you're gonna get a lot better at the game. So next time you load into a solo or a duo, just try to push as many people as you can without being low on health. As long as you got some shield, you should just try and push everybody that you can see, and it'll really make you a higher skilled player. As of Season 8, tons of players are getting better at the game. It's the sweatiest lobbies have ever been if you're just queuing for a public match. So it's really important that you know how to get your builds down, and that you have good game sense, where in the map you should be at that very time, because positioning in the end game is very, very important. And if you have the right positioning, and if you have height and you can maintain the high ground in the end, then it will mean that it's much easier to win, because a lot of people make errors towards the end of the game, as it's a lot easier to die in the end game than earlier on. So the next tip I have for you guys is that in Season 8, farming mats is really important. Now, you get mats really fast, so you don't have to spend tons of time harvesting materials, but it's still really important. And if you just spend a few minutes to get, you know, around 800 materials right off the bat, it will really help. The same goes for endgame. Make sure you have a good amount of materials, you know, around 1,000 materials when it comes down to those smaller circles, because if you have to fight a really good player toward the end of the game, then it's gonna really be a hassle if you have low mats, and you could even run out of mats and die because you had no mats. So mats are really important in the mid and the end game, and a mistake tons of people make is not keeping track of their material usage. And that is one of the biggest tips I have for you guys here today, is to make sure you're maintaining your materials and you're aware of how much you have and how much you need to use in a fight. Like, don't overbuild just because you want to intimidate another player, or maybe you're not thinking as much. You should always try to build as least as possible. Make sure that every build that you place is 100% necessary, or pretty much all of your builds that you place are well used and can be utilized to the fullest. So that is one of the biggest tips in Season 8. I think it goes without saying that if you're going to aim for, you know, high wins, if you want to get a lot of wins really fast, you know, maybe as many as 50 or 70 per week in Season 8, you're going to have to practice a lot. And these tips have to be used pretty much every match, because then you're not going to miss out on wins. And it's important to notice that this is a realistic goal. However, it's going to take some time. Like, if you want to reach 1,000 wins, it's probably going to take at least 2 or 3 seasons. So it's just not realistic for you to think that you can do it in a few weeks, unless you're literally playing, you know, maybe like 15 or 16 hours a day, which is just ridiculous. So guys, now I'm going to move on to my last and most important tip in my opinion. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button. This final tip you do not want to miss, because it's going to make a big difference to your endgame play in Season 8. Make sure to practice your edit play in playgrounds, you know, in 1v1s. Just practice your little edit flicks, because when you're in a box with someone outside, getting a shotgun hit on them with an edit play can sometimes turn the fight around. Like, you might be low turtling trying to med up, when in reality, if you hit a good edit shot, a good edit shotgun flick on the other player, it can sometimes either scare them away or even be enough for you to be able to kill them. Edit plays have been a pretty big meta in the Fortnite community since Season 6, I want to say. So it's really important to practice your edit flicks and make sure that you can hit those edit plays. The same goes for if you are chasing someone down and they're continuously turtling and he's low and you don't want to let him med up. It's important to not stand directly above his box, because he could edit you in, or directly outside, because he could hit a good pump shotgun shot on you. So it's important to make sure to stand at an angle and keep on trying to break down their walls. Most of the time while I'm doing this, I make sure to keep moving around, because in solos a lot of people want a third party, and you could even get sniped from another player, which sometimes is a bit frustrating. So I make sure to keep moving around, just so it's harder for this guy to hit a better edit shot, and it's harder for other players to third party if that is what they want to do. So yeah guys, that pretty much sums up this video. Those were a few of the tips that I have for you guys that will help you to reach a big win milestone. Don't forget, if you guys enjoyed this video, all the support I get is greatly appreciated. I'll be making more non-clickbait Fortnite content in the future. I'm always happy to help you guys out. My name is Darkitect. Peace out.